In standing tonight, we'd like to place your feet underneath your hips. Think about that fist distance between your feet, and just start by having a gentle rock forwards, heels and toes. Get the weight nice and even between your heels and toes, and then have a little shift left and right. Just taking the weight one way and another way. Land it in the middle. Okay, and we're going to work through what they now term the diaphragms in the system. So we're going to start with the arches of your feet, quite internally, so we're not scrunching our toes or anything like that. Can you just feel like you just subtly lift the arches of your feet up towards the ceiling? Okay, from here you should feel, I'm just letting somebody else in, you should feel like the muscles at the inside of your thighs activate a little bit, and as they activate, that is actually activating your pelvic floor muscle. And as you all know, I harp on and on and on about the pelvic floor muscle and how much that is important in stabilising the back. Okay, so from here, slide your hands up onto the side of your hips. Think about your pelvis like a bucket full of water, and tilt your bucket forwards and tilt your bucket backwards. So tipping the water out the front of the bucket and tipping the water out the back of the bucket. And again, tipping forwards, tipping backwards, tipping forwards, tipping backwards, and landing in the middle for you. Okay, so the arches of your feet are gently drawn up, your pelvis in the right position, your knees are nice and soft but still straight. Slide onto the outside borders of your rib cage and just have a tilt one way and the other way. I like to think of a bell going ding and dong. You're dinging your rib cage and you're donging your rib cage. Okay, some people walk around like that, some people are all like that. And I'm that in the middle on top of your pelvis, which is still in a good position. Shrug your shoulders. Let shoulder blades just gently slope down the back of your rib cage, and then lift yourself up from the crown of your head. Okie doke. From here, we're going to transfer the weight onto one side. Lengthen out of that hip joint or squeeze your bum, drawing those abdominals. Come up into standing tabletop. Keep that side of your hip facing forwards as you open that hip out to the side. Do have something to support you if you need it for balance. Bring it back in and place it down. Good. Change your weight onto the other side. Grow tall, lengthen, floating up. Opening out to the side. Coming back and down. And again, swap sides. Grow tall, lengthen. You're coming up into standing tabletop. Open out to the side, keeping the other side facing forwards. So we're only opening as much or for as long as we can maintain our pelvic control. Up, open out to the side, going back and down. One more to each side. Going to come up, I'm going to open, come back and down. Transfer your weight, grow tall. Squeeze your bottom to stabilise, just gently, not gripping, but it should just be activated. Going back and down. Lovely. From here, just have a quick think up the whole of your system, so make sure those arches are still gently lifting. Okay? And then from here, float your arms up. Okay? If having your arms in front of you isn't comfortable, cross them across the front of your chest. Okay, so now we're going to keep the hips facing forwards, and we're going to rotate from the spine, the thoracic spine. When you're ready, can you breathe in, rotate, one arm stays in front of you, the other one's rotating around, maintaining that connection with your trunk. Look to the hand and you're breathing out to come back. And again, we're swapping sides, we're breathing in as we open, and breathing out to close. So those of you who come to my classes regularly, you know how I talk about the connection between the arm and the rib cage through the shoulder blade. Okay, our arms are not wings, they're a nice connected lever at the end. So do make sure that it's your trunk taking your arm out, not your arm just taking itself for a walk. Good. Breathing in, breathing out. Just one more time to each side. Breathing in, lengthening around, breathing out to close. And last time. And lowering the arms down. Good. Okay, from here, make sure that the feet still feel like the weight is evenly distributed, so you're working evenly front and back of the thighs, glutes and abdominals. Make sure that your lower back stays nice and still and controlled as you breathe in and float your arms up. And you're breathing out to lower your arms back down. Okay, just turning sideways for you. Make sure that as you come up, your back stays still and your back's not being allowed to arch. Okay, so your bottom muscles, your glutes, are supporting your back as you breathe in, lengthen the arms to the ceiling, and breathing out to lower. Now, if you want to feel like you can go out a little bit further, allow your rib cage to lengthen up the sides without shrugging your shoulders to your ears. Okay, so we're not doing a big shoulder shrug, we're actually finding some length. And again, last two, we're breathing in, breathing out, making sure that the weight stays nice and even in the feet, all the way through that arm lift, and all the way back down. Good. Now from here, we're going to go into some shallow squats. So with your shallow squats, think about that length of the tailbone down towards the floor. Shallow squats, they're designed not for strengthening the legs, but to open up and mobilize the lumbar spine. Give yourself some relaxation or some letting go in these back muscles that in some people get very tight. Okay, so it's not particularly deep. As I say, it's not a leg workout. We're just going to sink those knees gently over the toes. If you turn sideways to your camera, you should be able to check that you're not doing it with your bum out like that or your bum out like that. Okay, so use your camera if it's big enough just to check that alignment and back up. And again, sliding down and moving back up. And again. So just watching the screen now, most of you are doing super. There's a couple of you that are actually going back the way, so you've lost yourself behind, okay? If you're doing that, you'll know about it because your legs will be working super hard. Good, now from here, we're going to go into that shallow squat. Come up onto your toes, lengthen the arms to the ceiling, stabilise through your big toes, and back down. And shallow squat. Float up onto your toes, arms up, and coming down. Good, and again, shallow squat, floating onto your toes, big circles round, and shallow squat, up onto those toes, big circles round. Good, one more time, shallow squat, up onto those toes, and big circles around. Well done. Okay, from here, we're going to do some leg extensions. Leg extensions, just to remind you, they come from the hip joint, using the buttock, not from the back. So the lower back stays quiet. If comfortable for you, it's quite nice just to pop your hands into the smalls of your backs, and then you can make sure that the lower back isn't compensating at all. So use your buttocks. We're going to send one leg behind, and bring it forwards. Other side, send it behind, bring it forwards. Now as you're doing this, you also want to be thinking about lengthening out the hip that you're standing on. So as we did when we went to the standing tabletop, do make sure that you're feeling very strong in this area and that you're not kind of collapsing down into a hip extension. Okay, so stay tall, extend the leg, and back, and other side. Good, now place your brains in your backs, drop your arms by your side, opposite arm. We're going to go up as we come back. You should feel a connection between your opposite shoulder blade and your opposite glute. And return. Other side, we're going to go back. So that connection is what we call your posterior oblique chain. It's our way of stabilising through our system, or one of our ways of stabilising through our system, and really important that it is activated. So really feel, as you take the arm up and take the leg back, that you're utilising the muscles around the shoulder blade as well as utilising the gluteals. Just a couple more. Well done. Okay, from here we're going to go into some roll downs and then into a down dog. We'll do a few roll downs first just to get the spine nicely warmed up in this direction. So make sure that your feet are still hip distance apart. You still feel like your weight is evenly distributed through your feet. Sorry. Your arches are subtly raised or lifted and your knees are soft. Take a breath in, shrug those shoulders, and as you breathe out, nod your chin to your chest, start to open up that spine, and you're rolling down just as far as is comfortable for you. Doesn't have to be to the floor if that's not right on this first time. Breathing in, breathing out as you curl up. Keep the weight even through your feet. Nice and slowly, tailbone, lower back, rib cage, shoulders, neck, and the head is always the last thing to come out. And again, you're breathing in, breathing out as you nod your chin to your chest. Start to slowly curl your way forwards. Keep the weight nice and even through your feet. You're breathing in to hold, and you're breathing out as you curl your way back up. Now thinking about your feet as you do this, make sure that the weight remains even left and right, as well as heels and toes. You're breathing in, breathing out as you go forwards. Breathing in to hold. Breathing out to come back up. Nice and slowly. Keep the weight even through your feet. Okay, this last one, we're going to hang down there for a breath and walk out into down dog. So breathing in. Breathing out as you curl. You're breathing in to hold. Breathing out, sink a little lower if that feels right, and then walk the hands forwards into a down dog. So you've got your tailbone stuck up towards the ceiling. Push through those heels. Push your heels towards the floor. Straighten the knees as much as is okay for you. Push through your arms and push your breastbone towards your knees. Take a couple of nice big breaths. And on each out breath, see if you can increase that stretch just a little bit more. And then soften the knees and bring yourself down to the mat. Okay, we're going to go on to our backs straight away tonight. So get yourself what will be the equivalent to the head block that you like to use. And we're going to start tonight with thinking about our pelvic floor and our transverse abdominis. So our pelvic floor sits underneath us, and as again, as you'll often hear me talking about, it's a slinger muscle, and it goes from your back passage to your front passage underneath. okay? Your transversus abdominis comes across the front. So you've got your pelvic floor, your transversus abdominis. We're going to try and activate the two together, and they are part of the supportive network for our spine, okay? Just as important for men as it is for women. You'll know that I say that regularly, okay? So, have a lie your backs into crook lying. This is the easiest place to learn your pelvic floor. And I'll give you a couple of different cues and you can see which one works for you. But before you start, find the two bony points on the front of your hips. Now slide into the fleshy parts inside of the bony parts. So if you're relaxed, everybody should have a nice soft squidgy bit just there. Okay? From here, when we do our gentle contraction, it is gentle, then you're feeling for a gentle swell underneath those fingers. When I say gentle, our maximum contraction should be 25% of our maximum, if that makes sense. Okay? So, a couple of different cues. When you next breathe out, try drawing on that sling of muscle from your back passage to your front passage up towards your belly button. And see if you can find a gentle little swell of the muscle sitting underneath your fingers. That's your transversus abdominis. You're breathing, and as you breathe, you want to maintain that gentle swell. If that swell goes up and down with your breath, or if it slowly disappears as you're breathing, then it's not strong enough. Okay? So that's one way to do it. I'll just give you that cue again. So let it go. When you next breathe out, draw on back passage to front passage to belly button. And you're holding it there. Okay, as you breathe. The breathing should come from your abdominals. Your abdominals, your tummy, should be really relaxed and soft. So it's all very low and very deep. You can also think of it a different way. Okay? If you imagine your sit bones have magnets on them. When you next breathe out, draw or allow the magnets of your sit bones to draw together, and then also pull on front and back. So you're closing and closing, sides and front and back. Again, you should be feeling for that gentle little 25% contraction underneath the fingers and keeping it there as you just gently breathe. Okay, now normally I would be walking around and checking this, but I can't do that clearly. So if it's not feeling hugely strong, then that's something that you need to practice at home. From here, we're going to start off with our hundreds. So can you lengthen your arms down by your side? From the shoulders, hover the arms just an inch or so from the floor. Okay, and from the shoulders, you're going to start pulsing. Pulse, 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 pulse. That kind of tempo. So I'll just gently tap the floor. You probably can't hear my tap, mind. And we're going to breathe in for 5. And as you breathe out for 5, try gently drawing on back passage to front passage to belly button. Or think about your magnets. Letting it go as you breathe in for 5. Breathing out once again, trying to gently draw on that pelvic floor, transversus abdominis. So you're letting it go for 5 and breathing in for 5. Now, you can either keep going with that or we can add to it. So if you want to add for it, as well as thinking about your pelvic floor, when you next breathe out, can you float one leg into tabletop? And make sure that as you do that, you're not grabbing on with your abdominals and that your lower back has stayed nice and still. Lowering that leg down. And then other side. Coming up. Making sure you're not grabbing with those abdominals. And lowering down. Your arms might have known about this by now. We're only do a couple more. Think about whether or not you feel the same to each side as you come into single leg tabletop, or whether or not one side feels harder to control than the other. Lowering it down, other side, drawing on that pelvic floor, coming up into tabletop, lowering it down, resting your arms down. Well done. Okay, so now we're going to check those abdominals. If you'd like to place your hands on the main part of your tummy, okay, so kind of a little bit above and below your belly button. We're wanting to make sure that these abdominals stay nice and soft. So once again, if you are carrying tension in them, can you take a big breath in? And as you breathe out, try and let all of that tension go. Some people are really grabby with their abdominals, okay? And they should be nice and soft, and they want to stay that way. When you next breathe out, once again, think about drawing on. Back passage, front passage, belly button, or think about the magnets of your sit bones drawing together, and float one leg into tabletop. Your back should stay still, and your abdominals should remain soft. Okay? If they're not remaining soft, then you're not using the correct muscles to stabilize. So that's another reason, if these are not staying soft as you hold your leg in tabletop, breathing in and out, then you need to be practicing that pelvic floor transversus abdominis. Lowering that leg down. Good. Other side. When you next breathe out, coming up into single tabletop, seeing whether or not those abdominals stay nice and soft or not. Say if they are grabbing on, then you need to make sure that you're doing a little bit more practice of the absolute kind of core of the core stability. Good. And lowering it down. All right. From here, we are going to go into one leg stretch at level 1. So this is still about maintaining and utilizing that stability. I like to use the palms of my hands. Place the palms of your hands over those bony points on the front of your pelvis. Okay. We're wanting those to stay completely still, but we're also wanting your lower back to stay completely still. So just make sure that you're in a nice neutral position in your pelvis and your lumbar spine, and by that I mean you should have a very subtle little hollow under that lower back. Okay? From here, you're only going to move the legs as far as you can maintain that control in your lower back. So you can take a breath in, and as you breathe out, slide one leg along the floor. You can go onto your heel, but keep control of that lower back. Good, and then you're going to breathe in to slide it back. When you're ready, breathing out, slide the other leg. Keeping control, so you're only sliding it as far as you can maintain the control of your lower back. Breathing in to slide it back. So really nice and thoughtful with this tonight. Sliding away, sliding back. And again, you're breathing out, slide away. If you are struggling to control that back, then before you do the movement, think about gently drawing on that pelvic floor. Okay. Good, sliding back. The last one, sliding away, keeping that control. And breathing in, slide back. Keep your hands where they are over those bony points on the front of the hips, and we're going to go into our next real pure control exercise, which is hip twist at level 1. This time, if you had your car headlights on your bony points, those car headlights would stay facing directly at the ceiling. Okay, so there's no rock and roll movement of your pelvis at all. The pelvis is staying still. It means that your hips are working in isolation from your pelvis. So when you next breathe out again, can you start to lower one knee out to the side only as far as you can maintain control of that pelvis. And then you're breathing back in, drawing that knee back up towards the ceiling. Other side, alternate your legs, you're breathing out as you lower the leg out to the side. Good, breathing in as you draw the knee back up towards the ceiling. Again, swapping sides, lowering the knee out to the side. And breathing in, draw the knee back up. Again, lowering the knee out to the side. Drawing the knee back up. So just to remind you, you're monitoring the pelvis. You're actually monitoring the opposite side of the pelvis to the knee that's moving out to the side to make sure that it's not rolling around or following the leg. Okay, so this means that the hip is moving in isolation to the pelvis, which is a really good thing to have the ability to do. Good, just going to do one more to each side. So lowering out to the side, drawing it back up, and swapping sides. All right, from here, we're going to go into level 2 of one leg stretch. So, once again, we're going back really thinking about the lumbar spine. Make sure you've got that gentle little hollow. If you really struggle with your control, then just gently flatten your back into the floor and that will help give you a little bit more control. Okay? So from here, we're going to float one leg up into tabletop. Breathe in to hold and breathe out. Extend it away, not too low. So you're extending, for most people, depending on your room, you're between the wall and the ceiling. Okay, so about 45 degrees. And then draw it back into tabletop and down from the hip. Other side, you're breathing in to prepare, breathing out as you come into tabletop, breathe in to hold, and breathe out as you extend away those 45 degrees, breathing in, slide back into tabletop, and out as you lower the leg down. Swapping sides, you're breathing in, breathing out, coming up. Breathe in to hold, breathe out, extend away, keep that control of the lower back. Breathing in as you slide back into tabletop, breathing out to lower down. And again, you're coming up, extending away. Good, breathing in to come back, and out. Keep control of that lower back as you lower the leg down to the floor. Do one more to each side, coming up. Good, extending away, sliding back into tabletop, and down from the hip. All the while, make this last one your best one. Keep control of that lower back, coming up into tabletop, extending away. Keep the control, breathing in, back into tabletop, and breathing out. Well done as you come down. Okie doke, we are going to go onto our sides. So, if you would like to rest down on your side, if you're comfortable on your underneath arm, then go onto your underneath arm. If that's not right for you, place a cushion under your head and have your arm wherever is comfortable for you. Okay, we're going to do some leg work, some glute work. We're wanting 2 straight legs tonight. If you look down, you should just about see your toes, but you shouldn't really see your legs. Okay, we've got that nice long waist. Try and also maintain the little hollow in the underneath waist, okay, or maintain that feeling of support from underneath. All right, so we're keeping the waist long. The pelvis is forwards to the floor. We're going to lift from that little muscle that sits at the top of the buttock behind the hip joint. So squeeze and lift, and down. Squeeze and lift. Lengthen the leg away from you at the same time. And down. And again. Squeeze and lift. And down. And again. Squeeze to lift. And down. Squeeze into lift. And down. So you maintain that really lovely long trunk, both on the underneath rib cage and the top rib cage or the waists. Squeeze, lift, and down. Good. Now, we're going to use the underneath leg. I want you still to maintain the waist length. So can you squeeze the underneath thigh to lift the top leg? Keep the pelvis forwards. Might get a bit of a wobble on now. And lower them both down. And again, use the underneath leg to lift the top leg up. Keep that underneath waist long. And come down. And again, underneath waist long. Use your shoulder blade, if you're on your arm, to help stabilise, because your shoulder blade is connected to your glutes. And again, squeeze to lift. And down. 2 more, squeeze to lift. The last one, kind of, a bit mean actually, not last one at all. Alright, so from here, keep that underneath waist nice and long. Use your underneath leg to lift the top leg. Lift the top leg a little bit higher. Rotate the whole leg so your toes are towards the ceiling, your heels towards the floor. And then draw some backward circles. Maintain the long waist. Keep the pelvis forwards to the floor. If this is your left leg, they're anti-clockwise. If this is your right leg, they are clockwise circles. Get those circles to come just from your hip joint, not your waist, not your lower back. And you should really be feeling this. If you've got your leg rotated to the ceiling, and you're drawing out of your hip, you should know about this in your glutes. Good, we're going to go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax them down. Good. All right, this is where you'll want a nice big cushion. Okay? You're going to have your big cushion underneath your head. So in class we normally have 2 head blocks for this. Okay. So if you've got a big puffy old sofa cushion or a big pillow off your bed, or fold the pillow in half. This is a spinal mobility exercise, mainly for our thoracic spine. Okay, so it shouldn't really be going into our lumbar. You've got both arms in front of you on the floor. Your knees are bent and just comfortable. Okay? Try not to be too, although we're not holding ourselves rigid, try not to be too sloppy around the pelvis and the waist, but do allow it to move. So with the top hand, we're going to slide forward. So you're just going to find a nice stretch around that top shoulder blade. And then slide it back. Let your breastbone start to go up towards the ceiling and take your arm with your trunk. Let your eyes follow that top hand, but keep the pelvis facing forward. And then you're breathing out as you rotate back. So do nice slow breaths. As you keep breathing out, sliding that hand forwards, 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 as far as you can reach on the floor in front of you. And then breathing in, let the breastbone rotate, let the trunk take the arm. So as I said in standing open spine twist, these arms are not wings, they're connected levers. And rotating back. Good. Sliding forwards. And sliding back, rotating to open. rotating back, going forwards. Good, one more time. Rotate that breastbone towards the ceiling. Rotating to open. Hopefully you've gone a little bit further in that last one. Good. And then coming back to a nice gentle closed position. Okay. Come up onto your forearms. We're going to go into a side plank. Okay, so only do this if this is right for your shoulder. If you've got a bad shoulder, then side planks are generally not a happy exercise. And if that's not right for you, then do something different just for a couple of minutes. Okay, with our level 1 side planks, you need to look down from your shoulder, make sure that your elbow sits directly underneath it. Grow tall out of that shoulder, so we've not got any sloppy, unhappy shoulders. Lift the underneath rib cage. The knees are gently bent, but not too bent. So they're too bent and they're restrictive. Have your top foot on the floor in top of your bottom foot. Okay. Now imagine you've got a belt around the underneath side of your waist, and that belt is connected to a rope that's hanging off the ceiling, and it's on a pulley. Okay. So that rope is going to pull you up, pull you up, pull you up, and lift your pelvis as it goes. Squeeze your bottom. Squeeze your inner thighs together and keep them connected as you come down. Bring your bottom back down towards your shoulder. Maintain that height. Good. Also think about the alignment of head and trunk. So once again, lift that underneath rib cage. Let that pulley just keep lifting you up. Glide the pelvis forward, squeeze the thighs together, and think about the alignment of your head and neck. And coming down, proactively bring your bottom down towards your shoulders. We've got 4 more on this side. So think about lifting and gliding forwards. Good, you're breathing in and breathing out as you come back down. Good, 3 more. Squeeze and lift. Engage your bottom muscles, squeeze your inner thigh muscles. You really should be working those obliques. Now we're going to send it over a little bit more, if you feel comfortable. So stretch that top rib cage up towards the ceiling and come back down, bottom to shoulders. Good, last 2. Squeeze and lift. We're coming up and then we're lengthening. Really open up that top rib cage. Good, come down, bottom to shoulders. Last 1. Squeeze and lift. Glide the pelvis forward, squeeze the legs, the buttocks, and reach. Well done. And we're coming up. All right. From here, we're going to go into 4-point kneeling. And we're just going to do a little bit of isolation work on our shoulder blades. Okay. So when I say isolation work, I'm wanting your shoulder blades to move without your head and neck or your lower back joining in. If you want to check yourself sideways in your camera, that's a nice way to check your setup. You want your knees underneath your hips, your hands slightly forward, slightly wide of your shoulders, okay? Then some of you, sometimes your head starts to fall off. So make sure that your head is drawn up so that your neck feels strong. Okay, so from here, keep the lower back still. Gently draw your shoulder blades together and then push your shoulder blades nice and wide. And again, draw your shoulder blades together, push your shoulder blades wide. And again, draw the shoulder blades together, push the shoulder blades wide. And again, drawing them together and pushing them wide. Use your deep abdominals to support your lower back. Make sure that your head and neck are still in a good alignment. Okay, and again, just gently drawing them together, pushing them wide. 2 more times. Pushing them wide. and again, draw them together, push them wide. Good. Okay, give your wrists a quick little shake out. And we're going to stay in that 4-point position once you've shaken your wrists out. And we're going to go into the exercise called swimming. Okay, some of you might know of it as Supermans. Again, we're looking at utilising the abdominal muscles to control the back. So we'll go into it slowly tonight. Okay. Think about drawing the belly button up towards the spine. Take your shoulder blades, push your shoulder blades a little bit wide, make sure your head's in a good position. From here, can you slide? Opposite arm, opposite leg, but keep the connection with the floor and make sure that your lower back stays still. And then slide it back. Other side, we're sliding away, keeping the connection with the floor and sliding back. And again, other side, sliding away. Maintain that nice controlled lumbar spine and sliding back. Swapping sides, opposite arm, opposite leg, sliding away. And sliding back. Now you can keep going with that or you can add to it. If you add to it, listen to your backs, listen to the control. So keep that abdominal draw up towards your spine. We're going to slide away and then start to hover from your buttock and your shoulder blade. Now, not everybody can get right up, okay? So sometimes it's just a little hover, sometimes it's a bigger hover. Whatever hover you achieve, you have to maintain the control of your lumbar spine. And down, sliding back. Other side, we're going to slide away and start to hover from your buttock and your shoulder blade, but only as far as you can keep the control of that lumbar spine. Bring it down and sliding back. And again, slide. Hover if you want to. Keep that control. Lengthen away, fingertips to toes. Coming back and down. Swapping sides, going away. A little hover. Coming down, sliding back. One more to each side. Slide, hover, coming down, sliding back, and last one. Lift, coming down, and back. Good. Okay, we're going to go on to our other side. Okay. So, if you want to take the cushion to the side now, would be a good time to do so. We don't need it yet, unless you're not happy on that arm. So we want to make our bodies as long as they will go, lying on your side. If you look down, you should only just see your tiptoes, not your legs. That'll tell you that they're in the right position. But you do want to feel like your lower back is also in a good position. So if your lower back is really archy, then you need to tilt your tailbone a little bit down or under. You've got your long waists, both sides. And if you can manage to maintain your control without your fingers on the floor, then great. Okay, otherwise keep that hand on the top of your hips. From here, we're going to lift from the buttock and lower. And again, we're lifting and lower. So just really focus on keeping those waists nice and long, making sure there's no collapse at all. And that you feel like it's coming from here, from your buttock that's doing the lifting work, not from your thigh. Or your calf, or your underneath leg, or all the other funny places that sometimes people feel like it's working. Good, last one of those. Now maintain that length from your system, so only do this as much as you can keep your control. See if you've got a good side and a bad side with regard to your wobble. Okay, use your underneath leg. Lift your top leg. And down. And again, use your underneath leg to lift your top leg. and down. So as well as using your underneath leg, you should also be utilising your shoulder blade muscles to stabilise on the floor, and that will be connecting to your glutes, but without having any tension in your lower back muscles. Okay? You may need to just feel like you just need to draw on those very deep abdominals, that pelvic floor, to help support. But the more you squeeze your inner thighs together, the more connection with your pelvic floor. Okay, so squeezing your inner thighs together is going to give you some of that support. Good. Last one of these before we hold it. So when you're ready, taking a breath in, breathing out, squeeze and lift. Keep that waist as you take that top leg a little bit higher. Now rotate that top leg so the toes are towards the ceiling, the heels towards the floor. Start drawing some backward circles from your hip. Your right leg, these will be clockwise. Your left leg, these will be anti-clockwise. Good. Remember, if you need the support, you can just dibble a finger on the floor in front of you. If you can manage without, you're looking for that control of the lower back, that control of the waist, whilst maintaining the utilisation of your glutes. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. All right. From here, we're going to take our big cushions or double head blocks. Have your knees gently bent. Your pelvis is facing forwards but not held rigid. Okay. And your hands one on top of each other on the floor in front of you. Alright, so from here, take a breath in. As you breathe out, slide that top hand forwards, lengthen it away from you along the floor so you've got a nice stretch in that top shoulder blade. Breathing in, slide it back from your breastbone. Start to rotate towards the ceiling. Let the trunk take the arm, let your eyes follow that top hand. And breathing out as you return. Sliding forwards when you hit the floor. Breathing in as you start to slide back. Rotate. Open. And breathing out as you return. Just keep your head connected with your spine at the moment, okay? So again, you shouldn't feel like you're looking over your shoulder. Let your head move with your thoracic spine. Opening up. And closing down as you breathe out. Sliding it forwards. Last couple. Breathing to open. Really try and find that mobility in that mid-thoracic spine, so the place between the shoulder blades. Breathing out to close. Sliding forwards. Good. Last one. Well done. Rotating back to close. Good. Okay, prop yourself up onto your forearms. When you finish that one, no rush. Look down from your shoulder. Make sure that your elbow is sitting directly underneath it. Then grow tall out of that shoulder. Feel like the shoulder blade is really well connected to your rib cage. Your knees are gently bent, not too bent, with your top foot on the floor in front of your bottom foot. Okay? And then you've got that belt that's going to lift you from that underneath ribs. It's attached to a big pulley on the ceiling. So when you're ready, we're going to lift from here. Keep lifting. Squeeze your bottom, squeeze your thighs, and lengthen the arm to the ceiling. Good. As you come down, lower your bottom towards your shoulder. Keep growing tall out of that shoulder. Coming up, lifting from underneath the rib cage as you breathe out. Squeeze the thighs, squeeze the bottom, glide the pelvis forwards. Good, and coming down. And again, coming up. Squeeze, glide the pelvis forwards. Good, coming down, bottom to shoulders. These next three we're going to add to it if it's right for you. So we're going to come up, squeeze the pelvis forwards. Now lengthen that top rib cage to the ceiling. Reach the fingertips overhead. And we're going to come down. Stay tall. And come up. Lead from the waist. Glide the pelvis forwards. Lift that rib cage to the ceiling. Stretch those fingertips away. Gain a lovely stretch. Coming down. Got just one more. Stay tall. And up you go. Lift. Stretch. Well done. Good. Coming up to sitting. I'm going to face side on just so you can see what I'm doing. Sit as is comfortable for you, but all I would say is if you can't sit up tall, sit on a cushion, okay? So give yourself the best opportunity to sit up tall. And I'll tell you why you need to do that. If you cannot come up onto your sit bones, then your lower back is flexed. If your lower back is flexed, your shoulders come forward. If your shoulders come forward, your head comes forwards. And this is what we're about to work on, is the mobility of the neck, okay? So it really is crucial because the posture up here comes from the posture down here. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, whatever your legs is comfortable, on your sit bones. Just check that you are loose in the middle, okay? So shrug the shoulders, have a bit of a wiggle and a wobble around and rotate, and then just land, okay? Now, you can all imagine a chicken, okay? We're interested in the backward head chicken, not the forward head chicken. We're doing double chins, but it's okay because nobody can see you. Glide your head back into your neck. So you're going to try and find as many double chins as you can. You should feel like you've lengthened up the back of your neck. If somebody had a bit of your hair at the top of the back of your head and they pull it up to the ceiling, you're finding as much length up the back of your neck as you can. And then let it go. Okay? We're not bothered about going forwards because that's most people's problems. So once again, sitting tall from your pelvis, and that's crucial. Relaxed in the thoracic. Draw your chin deeply back into your neck. And let it go. And again, drawing back. Lengthen up from the back of the head. And let it go. Now if you want to add in some deep neck flexor work, you're going to open your mouth and place your tongue in the roof of your mouth. We do this quite often on the floor. Okay, so you've got your mouth open, tongue in the roof of your mouth, tall from the pelvis, and draw your head back. And you should feel some muscles really deep inside work. And let them go. And again, drawing back. And let it go. And again, drawing back. So you've got your mouth open, the tongue in the roof of your mouth, your head sliding back into your neck, double chins, and let it go. 2 more times. Last time, sliding back. Even with your head in that sliding back position, you should still be able to wiggle your shoulders. And let it go. All right. I'm going to face the front again. Again, you can be on the floor or you can be on a block if it helps you to sit up taller, you know. We can vary from day to day. If you've had the weather's so nice, if you've had a big day digging in the garden, then you might need to sit on a block tonight and you might not normally need to. All right. So we're going to finish off with a nice gentle stretch and then it's time to go outside and clap. So take a big breath in. Breathing out, rotate. Opposite hand to opposite foot. Breathing in, up to the ceiling. Breathing out to the middle and rotate. Opposite hand, opposite foot. Breathing in. Breathing out and rotate. Go as far as you're comfortable. Breathing in. Breathing out to rotate. Good, last couple of times, breathing in. Breathing out to rotate. And again, breathing in. And breathing out to rotate. Good. Well done. Thank you very much.